There's a voice deep inside every dad calling him to lead. Society, vices, inner demons, negative thoughts try to dampen and drown out that voice, but it never goes away. Your wife feels it, your children feel it, and your heart and soul feel it too. It's the voice that starts off as a whisper, but then becomes a calling to be the tip of the spear for your family, a calling to play all out and lead by example for your children, a calling to build a legacy that will go on for generations, a calling to be the warrior dad you were born to be. Dads, our children need us now more than ever to be that beacon of hope, courage, positivity, and strength. It's time to rise as warrior dads together as a brotherhood. If you felt that twinge in your soul, it's time for the Warrior Dad experience. Welcome to the show. I am extremely excited to have Ruari Fairbairns on the show. Ruari, welcome to the show.
Awesome to be here amongst warrior dads. Yes, love it so much. Super passionate about being a dad. Occasionally attempt to be a warrior, and glad to be here.
Love it. Can't wait to have the discussion. And if you're watching this on video, it is two individuals. We look very similar. We want to be
twins from different bins.
Yes, so true, so funny. But always love to start, Ruari. Parents, right? Dads. What's the dad game for you? And then let's get into this great discussion that we're going to have on alcohol.
What was the question? I missed that.
Kiddos, dad situation.
Oh yeah, what is my situation? I have two wonderful little girls, 11 and 8. They are little gymnasts. They'll be competing this weekend, in fact, in rhythmic gymnastics, and hopefully winning medals. They usually do. So yeah.
That's awesome. Love it. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So let's dive into alcohol, right? You've found a movement. Would love to get some backstory. I can share some of mine as well, as we were talking off camera. I think it's relevant for both of us. So jump right in.
Well, the quick story is I was an oil broker in London, and drinking pretty often is synonymous with the job. I've never had a problem. I wasn't waking up in the morning and pouring whiskey on my cornflakes, but I knew that alcohol was causing me some issues, and I just, arguments with the wife. I started to have kids. It was like difficult fitting this thing in. It was causing things. And so I decided to take a break, and everything improved. Fitter, faster, healthier, happier, better dad, better husband, grew my business, reduced our costs, everything improved. So then I set about being evangelical and standing out in the streets of London going, "Come on, everyone, stop drinking. It's amazing." And everyone went, "Fuck off, go to the pub," excuse my French, because nobody wants to hear from the evangelical bald guy. And so I was like, well, hang on a minute. This is not the way to help people. How do we help people realize those advantages and the benefits? Everyone is searching for those things. They're looking for more performance, better health. They're looking for more clarity, more energy. They're trying to improve their businesses. They're trying to get, earn more money. They're just trying to be better in their lives. And all of that is actually is a result of the process of taking a break from alcohol. And that's when we came up with the idea of creating a challenge. Let's just create a challenge, make it cool, make it fun, a bit like doing Tough Mudder or a Spartan race. You could be proud of doing it. And that's where we came up with the idea of 1 year no beer. Now, that was 10 years ago now, I think 9 years ago now, don't rush me, and spread all over the world, 138 countries, over 100,000 members. Arguably, we've impacted millions of lives, produce a huge amount of content and birthed a movement that's brought families back together. I've had a handwritten letter from a son saying I've got my dad back. Unbelievable the impact that we've had so far.
That's awesome. What was obviously you said, hey, you kind of felt just this drift, and what was the relationship? What was the start of relationship with alcohol for you? Be interested to hear that kind of backstory.
Well, the first time I ever got pissed, you mean?
Yeah.
So I felt like I hadn't been a part of the club about I think 12 years old, there were other kids in school. Now I'd gone to secondary school who were talking about alcohol, I lived in a village away from them, so I went and raided mum and dad's booze cupboard, and I knew that whiskey got mixed with something dark color. So I got an empty Coke bottle and put whiskey and mixed it with port. Cycled down to the village, met a girl from the village, and I asked her to babysit me while I drank this thing. I drank 3/4 of it, became absolutely paralytic, throwing up and absolutely destroying the house all over, throw up everywhere. I mean, both ends. It was horrific. So yeah, that was my first experience, but it didn't deter me. That was just the first experience of drinking.
Yeah, I had very similar. I was 17 at the time, but it was whiskey again with one of my buddies, taking it from mom and dad's liquor cabinet and puking all over the place, and just an absolute mess. What?
Just before you carry on, there's one thing that will, there's one indicator that will decide the likelihood of somebody developing alcohol use disorder in their life. It's not demographic, it's not country, it's not geographic, it's not where they come from, it's not any of those factors. It's the age they start.
Okay.
And so this is one of the reasons, as a parent, don't be fooled into trying to encourage your kids early to try alcohol or letting them teach early. Like, hold off on that. The more you hold off, the less likely they are to develop alcohol use disorder in their life.
I love that. I love that. I mean, because that's an actionable thing. So,
yep.
Hey, how long do you delay? What is the science behind it? It kind of sounds like you've got that lens, that frame.
As long as you can. I mean, as long as you can, which it comes to. But I mean, in reality, 12, 13, 14, way too young. 15, 16, they're starting to think about it. I think as long as you can keep it away, the better. And I think, society is changing its relationship with alcohol. We know that anyway. Kids are drinking less. Teens, 20-year-olds are drinking less than ever before. So yeah, there is a culture change out there.
So you had that early experience, and then you're in your career and you were hitting it pretty hard. Was there a specific example that kind of smacked you in the face that said, hey, I need to look at it? And I asked that question because I had one in my life that I'll share after you share.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing is, afterwards, you would say, well, that's obvious. But in the moment, it's not so much. And I think a lot of people will resonate with that. Prevention is way harder than changing after the doctor has said, Jeff, if you have another drink, you're fucked. Or the wife saying, if you have another drink, I'm leaving you. Or something like that. And most people are sleepwalking till that thing happens that forces their hand, that rock bottom moment. In fact, AA is based on that. Many thing in AA was like, they will say to you, go away until you've had enough and then come back, which means go away, screw your life up enough, and then you'll finally submit yourself to come into our process. Well, prevention doesn't need to be like that. And that's where we are very, very, very different. But if you want to change behavior from a prevention point of view, i.e. the wheels haven't come off yet, I haven't lost my business, my wife hasn't left me, and the doctor hasn't told me I've got a problem, but I do feel like something's holding me back, then what you have to do is get clear on psychological pain. You have to actually be honest with yourself about the negative impact it's having. Now, when I say these things to you, you're going to be like, duh, Ruari, how did you not know there were problems? But let me explain the whole thing. So coming home on Tuesday night at 5 o'clock in the morning, unable to find my keys and falling asleep on the doorstep, and my wife finding me at 8 o'clock in the morning with our 6-month-old baby asleep on the doorstep is like a worrying sign. But in the industry, that's just normalized. It's like, you did what? That's hilarious. That's legendary status. There's lots of little things like there's been all over the news. I stuck my head out of a train after a very long lunch. I had 6 hours of heavy drinking, and it's the Paddington 150 mile an hour, and I'm sticking my head out the train, filmed it because the thing was all busy and it made the news, made the paper. That was just funny. That was just antics. Many times I've ended up in the A&E. I was surfing on the roof of a car, and then the car turned right and I didn't, and lost teeth and arm and everything else. But again, that was just the consequence of drinking and having fun. So the thing about that is here, that's like, oh my God, you nearly died. And if we're honest with ourselves, I don't know about you, Jeff, but how many times did you have a near miss from drinking? How many times did you step into a car? How many times did you step in somebody else's car? How many times did you say something really stupid to the wrong person at the wrong time? How many times did you lose a relationship or have an issue in a relationship or nearly get caught or go somewhere where you shouldn't have? And this is it. The reality is, if you are drinking, then you are consuming just that little bit of binge, you are getting away with it. And getting away with it is a phrase a lot of people use when they come onto our programs. They say, I run this business, but, I kind of avoid meetings. I avoid situations. Oh, okay. So you're actually just getting away with this thing from drinking. So the main event for me, I think, or major one, was when my wife had just had enough one day, and she sent me a text message saying, I'll be in Sweden with our daughter. And I knew what that meant. She's like, I've had enough. But I was in a very tumultuous relationship. It'd always been a tumultuous relationship. It'd always been like this whole fiery thing. So I went and got smashed for a week and had lots of fun because I was on my own then, and I could hang out with the guys and I didn't need to go home. Then my best man, soon to be best man, said to me, you really should go. You should go and get her. Go and get her. So I did. I went and got my lovely wife back. So yeah, and I think there was a few other catalyst moments that came into there, but over and above all of the moments, I think, is a slow change that happened inside my head. And this happens over years for people, is that there's just this quiet scratching in the back of your mind. And this quiet scratching is, hey, Jeff, alcohol it's not doing you any favors, buddy. Right. And in the beginning, you're like, shut up, voice. Alcohol's amazing. I love beer with the boys. Don't be silly. Yeah. And then scratching again, hungover, you're like, hey, Jeff. And when you start listening to that voice, and by the way, meditation is one of the most powerful tools in behavior change because it enables that voice to get louder and we can't ignore it then. And that was me. I started meditating on the train to and from work, and that meditation built up that scratching to a loud resonating noise. And I was like, okay, I need to do something about this.
No, thanks for sharing. And as you were saying, like how many times you drive, how many times you get in a car, how many times you do stupid shit in your life. I mean, like it's dozens, hundreds, like in my mind, right? And I would say probably similar to most dads that are listening. And I had a moment where when I left corporate America, I opened up a boutique gym and I was playing cards and partying with the guys till 2 a.m. Went to coach an 8 a.m. fitness class, went in to kiss my wife. And she said, I'm going to be honest. How are you going to go talk about health and wellness and you reek of alcohol? And I was like, that's it. And I didn't know it back then, but looking back, it was like, wait a second, what the hell am I doing? Right.
Yeah.
And it was answering that call, feeling that itch of like, hey, I can't get to that next level. Why not subtract out? Like, is it really serving any purpose in my life? My boys are a little bit older than your girls, 15 and 13. 2 years ago, I said, I want to set a different chart for them and share the dark times that it can provide if you go that route and say, hey, I'm choosing to do something different. So I love that. What would you say to a dad that's, hey, in that weekend binge pattern, feels that voice kind of whispering a little bit? Where does he start in the journey of like, how do I get away with it? Because obviously you've had a lot 100%. Of experience.
I want to just before I jump onto that, helping with the weekend binge, just going back to what you said is something really important. Your wife said something to you, right, which enabled change for you. Okay. Yeah. Now, again, if your wife is not challenging you, i.e. she's not saying you need to change your drinking, and you're like, my wife is good as gold. This is what guys say to me all the time. My wife is good as gold. She doesn't matter about it. She is enabling you. And not only that, but what it's making is it's even harder for you to change. You are heading towards a rock bottom moment if you don't choose to change, and you have to be even more honest with yourself about the negative impact because your wife is not helping you. Now, just to blow this out forwards, when my publisher published the book, wonderful head of Pan Macmillan lady, she sat down in her 60s. She said, you know what? I was the only one out of my group of girlfriends who put her foot down with her husband and his relationship with alcohol. And I'm the only one whose husband is not dead or doesn't have severe alcohol issues. Wow. Right? So your wife holding you to a higher standard, right, is what has helped you. Now, here's another really interesting fact, is that how we metabolize alcohol. So let's say you say, well, I don't really get hangovers. here's another thing that you are heading for serious issues because you don't have those early warning signs. You're not waking up feeling hungover. You're not waking up feeling depressed, anxious. You're not waking up feeling like you're half yourself or not quite productive. And therefore, you're going to continue drinking, consuming what is 100% poison. I'm sorry, it's a neurotoxin. It's highly toxic to our brains. It's highly toxic to our bodies. There is absolutely no science out there that shows that any amount of alcohol is good for you. End of story, full stop. Let's stop with the propaganda, the lies, and the bullshit science funded by the alcohol industry. It is poison. Okay. Now, that being said, we live in a society where it's everywhere. And to say to people that they can't drink or they'll never drink again is basically the same as taking a whole bunch of kids, putting them in a sweet store, surrounding it with sweets absolutely everywhere with the things open, and then putting marketing videos up on the wall with kids eating sweets, salivating, and telling the kids not to eat sweets. Ridiculous, right? So we live in a world where it's saturated with alcohol. And I think this is the thing is, if we tell people that you can never drink again and that's it and it's over, then it's a place of society that is more challenging. And I think that's what we're trying to do now, is to say to people, it doesn't have to be that way. You can have a healthier relationship. Healthier, there is no healthy relationship with a poison, but you can have a healthier or better relationship with alcohol where it is not costing you so much. It's not having such a significant impact for you. And that is really what we focus on now. We help people remove all of the need, all of the desire, all of the compulsion, all of the binge, all of the part where they feel they need it to unwind, they need it to be successful, they need it to be happy, they need it to get laid, all of those associations in their brain. We help them change those so that most of the time they choose to leave it. And that's our take it or leave it relationship with alcohol, which I fundamentally believe that most people can achieve that version of themselves. Okay, if you are, a very, very, very significant abuser of alcohol, if you've had significant alcohol use disorder, then you're right. It's going to be a challenge for you to get to that place where you can take it or leave it. But I do believe it's true. So I just wanted to talk about that one there. And then when you said about binge drinking, if somebody is in that place of where they binge drink, the big message here is stop going in search of abstinence. Okay. The first thing is that the world has obsessed people that abstinence is the solution. Okay. But alcohol is not the problem. Alcohol is not the issue in your life. I'm sorry. The alcohol is just the tool that you're using to solve the problem in your life. And if we just go and address this as a surface tool, like, hey, let's get this guy to stop drinking, and we don't actually do the work on what's driving it, you will just turn it into porn addiction, gambling, sugar, caffeine. You'll turn it into work addiction, the world's most acceptable addiction. Like, let's actually help people. Now, we know, right, because 9 years ago, I launched OYNB. I've helped hundreds of thousands of people take a break from alcohol. And that's really what I've discovered over the last decade, is that we saw people going back again and again to problematic drinking. And so I wanted to help people in a more significant way. And this is why we launched Complete Control 2 years ago. We know from science what drives compulsive behavior. We know. We've known for decades. So why are we telling people that there's this disease that they're going to be inflicted for the rest of their life? Why are we not helping people understand, in our case, using data, evidence, and technology to show it, but help them understand what's driving the behavior and then coach them through a process of changing that? And that's really what we launched 2 years ago. It's been profoundly game-changing in the industry. It's significantly disruptive. I mean, 2 weeks ago, we did a partnership deal with the largest rehab referral site in the UK. Awesome. And so we're now taking, significant movement there. But really, as an actionable step here is the alcohol thing, right? The binging and the daily drinking and the taking the edge off. And guys, I'm talking about prevention. If you have very severe alcohol use disorder, then you may need to go and get other support. But I wouldn't stop you from coming through the door, because I've helped people who are drinking 3 bottles of wine a day and then getting onto a bottle of vodka, who've gone to rehab 3 times previously, gone straight back to drinking, and then a year after our program sit with us and have half a glass of wine. So I know it's possible, right? So really, instead of going in search of that, the alcohol piece, that alcohol is the problem, what are the drivers? Let me just give those to you so that you've got some actionable steps. Number 1, the major source of compulsion for all human beings, and compulsion is the word that I'm using because it's the preventative word to describe addiction. I'm not using addiction because as soon as I use that word, most people switch off and go, oh, this is for addicts. It's not for me. And I'm like, no, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to all of you. If you are regularly consuming alcohol, it's absolutely holding you back. Full stop. Okay. So the first source is our past experiences as a child. And what happens is during our childhood, we see or feel or have some things happen. We feel an emotion. We don't understand it and we pack it down. We now know from understanding trauma that those emotions that we've been packing down our whole life are toxic. And they don't only create compulsion, but they also create autoimmune diseases and disorders, mental health illnesses, and cancers, dementia, all of these things. So by doing the work on you reducing your alcohol consumption, you're going to help yourself prevent ill health. And this is why I believe everybody should be going to do some trauma work. You might not resonate whether you've had a traumatic childhood or not. Don't worry. Childhood is traumatic. And this is the big thing for fathers as well, right? You know, there's this phrase, we have two choices. One, either we choose to continue on the generational trauma that has been passed down to us from our parents who've run away from their emotions and their parents' parents, or we choose to stop passing that on to our kids and do the fucking work, excuse my French. And this is one of the most important things that I can ask any dad to do is you going in to do the work on yourself is the greatest gift that you can give to your children. I'm just going to whistle through these. Number 2 of the major drivers of compulsion is stress. And the thing is that our dysregulated nervous system, which can in part come from our traumatic experiences and how we're behaving, means that we have a higher level of stress in our lives anyway. And stress is a huge driver of compulsive behavior. And what's worse is that most of us don't know how stressed out we are. We don't actually do anything to mitigate it. And worse, we're doing things to debilitate our stress. Hey presto, alcohol specifically attacks our stress coping mechanisms. So all of a sudden we feel overwhelmed and then we want to have a drink again. Well, when we unwind all of that stuff, and you go all in on learning the tools to mitigate your stress, which is breath work, meditation, taking breaks, getting yourself into parasympathetic during the day, you won't desire a drink at the end of the day. That is significantly diminished. There are a few other driving factors. Relationships are a driver of compulsive. When they're broken or bent out of shape, it drives compulsive behavior. Meaning and purpose, massive driver. Lots of people in dead-end jobs, they hate doing things, running businesses they don't love. And wondering why they are desiring a compulsion. You can't live incongruently to yourself. There's something really important to note here, guys. If you're in a job you hate, if you've got a business that you built and you loved building it, but now you're in maintenance, builders cannot maintain, it makes them sick, then what you need to do is really simple. You don't have to blow up your life and leave your job. You don't have to quit the business right now because direction is as powerful as destination. So just getting clear on what you want to do, what your meaning and purpose is in life is what will significantly calm down compulsion for you. Okay, a few other things. Emotional regulation, your environment, of course, your environment is very key to whether you're going to desire compulsion. Connection. Most people, when they choose to change their relationship with alcohol, they take a break for a month, they avoid their social circle, they cancel seeing their friends. What they're doing is becoming more disconnected from their clan. Guess what? Unless you're a sociopath, you cannot be disconnected. So that's always going to drive you back to the fold where guess what? Everyone's drinking. And so people get stuck in that loop. And what they're doing is creating these neural pathways in their brain that they need alcohol to live a good life. Stop doing that. We really need to build a community of people like-minded. Jeff, you've built an amazing community here. Guys who want to be good dads, want to be great fathers, right? Who probably want to support each other in drinking less or not drinking at all. Amazing. Get around that group. Okay, I'll take a pause. So I threw a lot at you there.
Yeah, no, I love that. One, childhood, right? You're taking it, and one of the things I always think about alcohol, you're just numbing the pain. It's almost like how we see medicine in the Western world, where it's just a drug to treat we're not treating the root cause of what's going on in our lives. And we're cut from the same cloth. Like I say, it takes one dad to stand up and change that family tree forever.
Totally. Yep.
That's just what you were saying there. So that definitely struck a chord with me. And that is that's our duty as dads to do that, is to say, fuck it. I'm not letting this generational chain continue. I'm going to change the narrative. And when you think about that, it kind of ties into number 4 you that said there, meaning and purpose. Like
Huge.
that could be huge from that perspective. One of the things I also wanted to touch on is we've heard like the poison and all those people. Like, what are some of the benefits of getting away from it? I know personally, but I'd love to hear from you some of like top
totally.
2 or 3 benefits, because these might hit pain points that dads are facing right now. And it's a huge, I know there are amazing benefits to it. So name a few.
Yeah, I think the first thing is that, whilst abstinence does not equal control, and we know that, right? But a period of abstinence gives you all the tools from which to do the work so that you can get control of your relationship with alcohol. And the big thing I was saying is, a lot of people don't want to stop drinking. So we have a piece of research, which now tens of thousands of people around the world have done. It says, what would you like your relationship with alcohol to look like? 6% want to stop drinking. 6%. And most of the messaging out there is, hey, come stop drinking. Sober is amazing. You're only talking to 6% of the drinkers. Like this is the other 94% would like to have a better relationship with alcohol. And so this is what we are saying. You can have a better relationship with alcohol. You do have to do the work, though. It's not going to come magically. And maybe you've been trying yourself and not quite getting there. Well, that's why you need to do the work. And come and check out our tools. We can help support you with that. So I went off track, which happens a lot.
Benefits
Thank
to
you.
giving up alcohol.
That's the ADHD kicking in. So starting from the top, right? I mean, I asked into our community, what one benefit have you found from changing your relationship with alcohol? And I think over 24 hours, there were 560 comments. And then we cut all those down. There was 312 unique. So I could sit here now for another 35 minutes talking about the benefits. I mean, lower blood pressure, lowered cholesterol, lost weight, significant health improvements. Look at myself in the mirror again, be proud of myself, right? Psychological style benefits. But, the clarity and the energy and the focus you get is another level, right? Alcohol is a very significant depressant, and it's also causing, the underlying things that are driving the alcohol behavior are also causing an awful lot of these outcomes, right? So people are feeling depressed, but they're regularly consuming a depressant. Right. And worse than that, right? 1 in 3 people they're saying are taking antidepressants. No antidepressant has beaten a placebo, so less than 3% success rate. And yet alcohol is 100% successful as a depressant. Sleep deprivation is 100% successful as a depressant. And not exercising is 100% successful as a depressant. We've got people who are drinking alcohol regularly, not sleeping, and not exercising, going to the doctor and being prescribed an antidepressant. Absolute nonsense. Let's just start with the holistic stuff. Other benefits. I doubled my business in the first year. It was already market leading. It was like just the brain switching on. My relationship transformed overnight. And you see this in relationships. I think right? Sometimes you find a lever. You think you guys are just absolute polar ends. It's like, God, this is never going to last. And then you tweak something, and it's like, we're back the best we ever were. I don't know if that's the same for you, but that is in my marriage. And so sometimes small steps of taking action make huge transformation. And if, the big thing in marriage, I literally spoke to a guy, he says, I think all people should do a 90-day break from alcohol before even seeing the couple's counselor. How can you communicate to another human when they are consistently under the influence of a significant depressant? And I don't think you're aware of the long tail of alcohol. So if let's say you consume, you have a few drinks on a Saturday, psychologically you haven't really repaired until Thursday, Friday, really fully repaired. So if you have another couple on Sunday, and then maybe you have some on Wednesday, and then you have some on Thursday, you're under the influence, you're heavily under the psychological wearing down. And this is where I say to everyone, whatever level you are drinking, it's like, look, what if I'm right? What if just taking a break from alcohol is the one thing that will give you everything you're looking for? Why not just give it a shot? Why not just give it a try? And if this is the first time you've taken a break, then go for it. It's an amazing thing to do. It's going to make you a better parent. It's going to make you calmer, happier inside yourself, more productive, more energy, lose weight. Probably a whole bunch of niggling health issues will disappear. I mean, I had IBS, I thought, 5 years of seeing doctors, Chinese medicine, going through all of those, getting stool samples and everything else. Stopped drinking, disappeared.
Wow.
And so psoriasis is a very common one where people see that disappear or significantly disappear. There are so many health outcomes that drinking exacerbate, that it's like, okay, if you have this thing, I mean, a perfect example here is, you're going to be absolutely gobsmacked with this. This lady just the other day posted into the community, a month before she came on the program, she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Okay.
And this is not just not drinking. Okay. She has done significant work by coming through our complete control program.
Okay.
I'm not going to find this message. Just one second. I am. Stay focused, Ruari. She said a month before she was diagnosed, of course, they say, you need to stop drinking and focus on that. Here we go. Found it. She posted this in the community. This is a month after finishing the program. I had to share this. Do you know what this means? And there are other tests as well showing the same. All of this work I've put in complete control, the program, trauma, physical, emotional, spiritual, with all of your support, has pulled back my autoimmune and, in brackets, disease back into normal range. Happy Valentine's Day from the bottom of my heart. And here is the screenshot, right? February the 12th, whoop. September the 27th, positive. February the 12th, negative. So it's amazing stuff. And I think that must be a compelling reason for anyone to ask the question, hey, maybe this alcohol thing, maybe it's not all it's cracked up to be. And there's a way to find out. Like, just give it a shot. We've got amazing challenges up on our site, oneyearnobeer.com. You can try the 28, 90, or 365-day challenge. You'll get tons of support. I promise you, it will make it much easier than doing it on your own. There's lots of people who are like, no, I just want to do it on my own. It's fine. But then you're kind of white-knuckling it and you're trying it. Like, just follow a tried and tested system. It's dead simple. And then the other side of that is, if you've maybe taken a break before, but your drinking is a bit more and you've tried to stop and you want something a bit more involved, check out Complete Control. It is a game-changing program. We use some really cool technology. You remotely monitor your central nervous system. I have a healthcare team who monitor you 24/7. We use the Aura Ring literally to kick your ass daily. Yep. So if you don't do your exercise, if you don't sleep well, we will get in touch with you. If you don't exercise, we'll kick your ass. If you don't meditate and do your breath work and we see that you're getting stressed, we help you calm down. Like, it is a fully immersive program that helps people make massive changes in a short period of time. And I think my mission is to say to people, let's stop imagining that this is some kind of wizardry, because that is also this whole, oh my God, there's a disease. That is not true, right? We know that from science today, that there is no disease. And that, me being able to have a better relationship with alcohol, I'm just going to be after someone who stops forever. I don't believe that's true. What I want to say to you is, if I gave you £1 million, Jeff, if I offered you £1 million, if you could run a 5K in under 20 minutes, could you get it done?
Absolutely.
Yes. Now, knowing that there's £1 million on the other side, you'd probably hire a really good coach. You'd want to get it done super fast in case I flaked on the deal, right? So you're going to find a good nutritionist. You're going to go and buy some new kit and trainers. You're going to go all in on it. I mean, you might even get some cool technology to make it happen for you. You'd invest to make it happen. And that's what I want to create this journey, right? That ultimately you having a better relationship with alcohol is just a personal development journey. It's as simple as that. And I don't know how far you've got to go. Psychologically, you could be obese and on the couch right now, and getting you to run a 5K in under 20, that's going to be a big job, but I'm up for it, right? And that's what I want to create for people, to help them understand we don't need to sit here holding on for dear life to our sobriety every single day. Equally, we don't need to be sitting around problematic drinking, binging with the wheels falling off, causing issues in our life, daily drinking, relying on it, all of that. Those two things I know we can solve.
Love it. Love it. So where can they look you up again? Give the websites and we'll wrap up.
I just want to say one more thing. And I think that the greatest thing you can do as a dad is change your relationship with alcohol. I think it's the number one thing. I think you will find that everything else falls off there. Your relationship is going to improve. Your parenting is going to improve. Your calmness with yourself, your ability to see through the wood, your business is going to improve. You're going to improve. It all is here. And it's the one thing. And I hear it from tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people all over the world. They say the same thing. It was the one thing that gave me everything. And all of the other things are so hard to do when alcohol is there. Just that last thing, the keystone habit. Okay. The keystone is the archway in the bridge, and the keystone is the central one.
Right.
And what happens is our consumption of alcohol regularly holds in place all these bad habits. You eat like shit, can't be bothered,
Yep.
procrastinate, don't go to the gym, and everything else.
Mhm.
But so it does when you change your relationship with it. When you go to change your relationship with it, it now holds up the good habits. You want to meditate, you want to exercise, you want to look after yourself. Suddenly you're being more proactive in with your family and your parenting and everything else, and you're showing up. And that's why changing your relationship with alcohol, the difference is exponential. It's not you versus you not drinking, right? That's not the comparison. It's worlds and destinations apart. And that's why it's the one thing that can have the biggest impact. Okay, go forth. I hope in 2024, you just think about drinking a little bit less alcohol. Where do they find out more? Go to oneyearnobeer.com and you can find everything from there. We have a podcast, we have tons of free resources, and you can check out the various programs just by landing on the site there. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, Ruari Fairbairns. I'm very responsive on social media, much to my wife's demise. No, so you can hit me up there. I'll usually reply.
Rory, love the conversation. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Dare to be uncommon. Love, lead, legacy. Create a legendary day. And I'll talk to you soon.